Hi, I'm Frances Dack, and I'm here from Rancho Cordova Arts, and I'm here to talk to you about my musings on signing art. And I really hope to get some feedback, some comments from you and your thoughts on signing art too. Um, I was so happy to see Victoria Smith's tutorial on framing and submitting art into shows. She touched on something that I've thought about for a long time: how to sign art. I look at it kind of by medium. So here's a painting that I own, and I think this painter she signed it on the right hand corner just with her name, and actually there's a date on there. It does say '06. Um, I think that's traditionally the way painters have signed their work. Printmakers have often always give a lot of information. There's one I did back in college, and that has the way I was taught was you write with pencil below each print, and the leftmost you see the title, and then a fraction showing the number of the print and the total number of the series. For this one is 7/15, the seventh print out of 15 prints. Potters usually put a stamp, or they'll try and scratch something in the bottom of their pot. Here's one that just uses a stamp, and here's one that does both, actually. Okay. All right. So, all right. Now I know more about quilting, as you know. Here I am. And so I quilts were popular in, well, let me back up. Quilters made quilts originally just to keep warm, and they used scraps from clothing and things like that, even other old blankets, who knows, and just wanted to be warm out on the prairie and all that wind. And then modernization came along and people weren't making quilts very much. But in the 80s, it became more popular again. And uh, as people were looking back at their antique quilts that they had, they realized that there weren't any labels on them. There was no information. Did Aunt Tilly do it? I don't remember. You know, was when was it? I'm not sure. And a really good example of that is a quilt that I have. It was a crazy heirloom crazy quilt, and it just has some information written on a piece of paper that was hand stitched on the back of it. It just my grandmother wrote it, but it has no date on it, and it and it just says that her grandmother had made it. Doesn't say her grandmother's. Well, actually, it did say her grandmother's name. That's true. It also included some interesting information of her 5-digit phone number, my grandmother's 5-digit phone number, and her address on 54th Street in Sacramento. So she was trying to give details, but I really wish she'd had a date on there, right? So then in about 2000, I wrote my own handwritten note on there, guessing that my grandmother had written it somewhere around 1942. But that's my guess too, right? So, um, so more recently, as I was saying, people have tried to encourage quilters to put more information on their labels. And quilters have always done their labeling on the back, because who wants to see a signature on the front of a quilt that's lying on a bed, right? So you might want to include things that are encouraged to be included, and I think this could be possible for any other kind of art on the back, right? Because it's a lot of information. Would be who pieced the quilt. In other words, who sewed all the pieces together, like you see with the X's and the O's in the background there. And who quilted the quilt, which is actual sewing of the layers together, which sometimes is different. And the date, and who it was made for, what occasion it was made for, all right? So art quilters have kept to these traditions of always having the label on the back, but in the last 10 or 15 years, I think that they're trying to break away from that barrier that quilters have of this is like a craft instead of an art form, a fine art form, and so they've begun to sign on the front. So I'm going to switch my camera again, and I'm going to just show you some quilts and types of labels. Here's just a, I gotta get it right, there we go. This is just a very simple label. It just has the title that I made it and the date, the year date. This one is very similar. Whoops, it's upside down. This one is very similar. It has the title, my name, it has the month and the year. Okay. This one I really like, the way I made this label. This is a small bed size quilt that I made for my mom, and you can tell that I made it for my mom because I have the title, Circling Dragons, for Geraldine Allen, that's my mother. There's a cat here. We have cats in my house. By myself, and it took me a long time to make this because, you know, I had other things going on in my life, right? You might recognize this fabric around here. This was used in the D that I showed you before in a different video. Now, sometimes art is collaborative art, and this one is one of those. I like this label because this label is actually the white part, not the red. I actually sewed that on, but it's printed on the fabric, okay? But it has the title. It says what it is. It's an improv round robin. Sometimes quilters will put the pattern that they've used. Now this isn't a pattern, but it's the type of quilt that it is. By myself, and then it has all these other quilters who I was with in a group when we had the improv round robin. It was started and finished by me, and so we got together. These people up here got together in June of 2018, and I completed it by January of 2019. And then there's one other one I want to show you, which I have to go get, excuse me. It is hanging on the wall in my sewing room. And this one, some art quilters are actually signing on the front, and this was an attempt of mine to sign in the stitching. Oh, there you go. Can you see that, I hope? It says Frances L.A. Dack. That's me. So those are my thoughts, and I would be really interested to see what your thoughts are too, so I hope to see some comments. Keep coming back to Rancho Cordova Art's Facebook page to view these great tutorials that we're putting on, and if you have something that you'd like to share with us, please put it up. You can contact Eileen Neuer, and she would help you with that. Thank you. Bye.